Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Appropriate Audiences. I'm your host, Haley Durant, and joining me this week is Matt McGroarty. This week, we're going to be talking about Mean Girls because it's its 10th anniversary, and that movie is gold. I don't care what you say. For those of you who, haven't somehow watched the movie until recently,
I'm uncultured swine.
it is about a girl named Katie Heron, played by Lindsay Lohan, or Caddy, as I like to call her, and everyone else calls her because her name is spelled really bizarrely. She and her family move from Africa to the United States, and she is thrown into the public school system as a high schooler. She's been homeschooled her entire life, so it's a completely new experience that she doesn't really know quite how to adjust to. So it's about her dealing with like the popular girls and just trying to fit in and navigating high school like most high schoolers do. But with her, it's just an added pressure because she has no idea how to socialize with people, basically. So, what did you think of the movie?
I mean, going into it, I had like 10 years of literally the movie being completely hyped up because, it's impossible to escape this movie since it's so merged into the pop culture. So I went in with a lot of like, this movie's gonna apparently blow my mind. And I mean, it didn't because I rarely do movies actually live up to the hype that they surround. But it was a good movie. I think it's funny. It had a good message, which was cool, about empowerment for women, especially in high school, and stuff like that. I thought so. I mean, it was good. I didn't not like the movie. I mean, I wouldn't put it on a pedestal, but I think it's a good movie, and I understand why people, especially like 10 years ago, enjoyed it so much.
Do you think the message is strong enough for people to pick up on? Or like do you think it's kind of like subtle and like folded in the story?
I mean, I I guess I mean it's sort of it's not subtle. I mean the main message is I guess like don't it's like don't try and like I guess like the perception of like the popular girl in high school is like sort of like like manipulates people, is kind of mean or whatever. Like we've seen these like tropes like forever, basically, and it's basically saying that you don't have to be like that. Like in reality, you can just like kind of hang out and be yourself, or whatever, and you'll be fine, which is a good message. Um, I mean, I don't really think I think that's like the whole moral of the thing.
Right.
I mean, if you wanted to be a little less subtle about it, you pull like a Shakespeare and have somebody actually say it. But I mean, I don't think you really need to in this movie. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think the message is really there. Um, yeah.
Which I think is important, especially for like young girls watching it.
Oh yeah.
So like, cause like high school is a terrifying place. Like it, I mean, I think that people, because of the media, I think that kids have this perception of that's what high school is going to be like. It's kind of like this scary place, and maybe it is in some places. I don't know. Personally, for me, I am from a small town where like from kindergarten to 12th grade, you're with the same people. Like maybe new people transfer in like from different towns, but that's it. So like by the time you get to high school, it's like, yo, what's up? Like it's same people. Like I don't know. But I mean, this movie still gave me a little bit of anxiety when I saw it. I was, I was like 11. Oh my, or no, I was 12. Oh my gosh.
I was how old? I was 8 when this movie came out.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a young man.
Yeah. So
So
watching this movie gave me a little bit of anxiety about like, oh no, is that what high school is like? Is that like, and I think ironically some of it was like, I know the whole message is about like you don't have to be popular and like you can just be yourself and still find really good friends and still like navigate high school. But at the same time, it still made me kind of want to be popular.
yeah, I mean, I didn't exactly have like the small town sort of thing. I mean, from about like 5th grade on, everyone knew each other for the most part. I mean, it's conjoining schools and stuff like that, whatever. But I mean, like when I watch like high school movies, I'm like super critical of like how they portray high school because like I think in a lot of ways they make it the media and like the way it's portrayed is significantly worse, but at the same time than what actual high school is because I didn't think high school was as bad. Maybe that was just me though. But at the same time, like it definitely showcases the pressures of going to high school. Because I mean, like even if like your high school like mine wasn't like that bad, like I'm a pretty large man, and and like I never really got picked on in high school like you would see in like you see in
Right.
certain movies, but at the same time like you still feel those pressures and stuff like that, both from this from just being with other like such a large amount of other people and other like ideas that are represented in popular culture and the media and stuff like that. So I think, do I think it's as bad as actual high school? No. I think a lot of movies aren't as bad as
Right.
actual high school. I mean, you look at The Breakfast Club, like that was actually I think that's one of the I think that's one of the best high school movies because it showcases in like the simplest form like the click system that gets
Yeah.
mentioned here. Um, but it showcases it in a way that's like I think more believable than just like a movie. I
Mhm.
mean, not that this movie isn't like super believable, but like I think in a lot of ways they make this movie specifically like way more dramatic because they're trying to make it a comedy and they're trying to make like silly weird things happen. Um, I'm getting
No,
off
no,
topic because I love The Breakfast Club, but
it's fine. But I
um
appreciate what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think they also made it kind of over the top, not only because it's a comedy, but to get the message across.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can be subtle, and like I mean, I don't think I would have liked it less. Like I don't think that would have changed anything for me. But I mean, it's just so funny. Like you need the over the top because it's just
Yeah.
all the jokes are so good.
Yeah.
Like I I I always feel bad though when they have like the really dumb character, especially because Karen is blonde.
Mhm.
So like I don't like the dumb blonde stereotype, but her character is so funny. I mean, you cannot beat like I have ESPN. My boobs can tell when it's raining. Like you can't
Yeah.
beat that. Like
It's good.
I want to feel bad, but just
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like I guess in a way it plays with these stereotypes. I mean, like when you think about it, like there's always people that aren't particularly bright. I mean,
Mhm.
they obviously dramatize it a little bit,
right.
because like I don't think anyone is like I have ESPN, and I can tell when it's raining. But like I think it's dramatized in a way so that you'll be like like dumb blonde sort of thing. But like even though her character's not the brightest, she's still like a relatively nice person.
Mhm.
So I mean, like it's one of those things where it's like I guess it depending on how you look at it. It's like oh she's not the brightest, but like tr- tries to be a nice person. Like I mean she just doesn't always get it sometimes. But hey, not all of us are amazingly super bright.
That's true.
So it happens.
That's true. I do think it's really interesting that all the two characters, Gretchen and Karen, are actually genuinely nice people, and obviously Regina, the ringleader, isn't.
Mhm.
And I think it's really interesting that like their desire to be popular. Well, actually, Karen, you never really get a sense. For Gretchen, it's like she has such a strong desire to be popular that she doesn't care that Regina's a mean person. But like they're so genuinely nice, but they follow this really mean person. So I don't know. I thought that was an interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I guess it's sort of like the idea that's like uh, like I guess like pack mentality sort of.
Mhm.
I forget what the psychological term actually is for it, but it's like in groups people are more likely to do bad things than they
Yeah.
are in not groups because they then judge on their like own moral system. So I mean, it's probably something like that.
It's funny that you mentioned PAX though, because I think some of my favorite scenes are when Katie um, visualizes like the high school environment or like the mall as a jungle, because like she's used to the jungle environment. So then she views like the high schoolers and teenagers she's going to school with as like basically jungle animals, and I don't know. I don't know if it's like trying to send a message of like when you're this age, you're basically like a jungle animal because you just like don't have any not filter, but like you really just don't not have any control of yourself, but like it's almost there. Like when you're a teenager, you kind of like don't care about a lot of things and like
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. I guess yeah. I mean, if it depends on how you look at it, like that definitely like makes sense. But at the same time, like if you Like if you look at it as like if somebody's like gets picked on a lot or something like that, like they could view like animals like the people around them as like animals of like predator animals and stuff like that. So it's, I don't know, it's interesting. I mean, it's you know, it's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, I just thought it's an interesting connection, and it was an interesting way to draw on her like experience in Africa, and not just like have that be like a minor like
Yeah.
sub like plot point. Since this film is 10 years old, I think it would be interesting to talk about where some of the actresses are now. We'll get to Lindsay Lohan last.
Okay.
But like all the actresses, or most of the actresses in this movie, like Rachel McAdams is pretty much the same, except she has red hair naturally or like brown hair naturally. So she's doing pretty good, solid movie career. Doing, you know, she was in About Time. We talked about that. Good movie. Watch it. She is. That's the same person. Rachel McAdams, Regina George, same actress. Like Notebook, About Time, same person. She's the main love interest. That's the same person. Did I just blow your mind?
I don't believe you.
It is the same person. You can look it up.
I don't believe you.
Look it up.
I don't want to.
Because I'm right.
I know you're right.
Anyways,
Really? That's amazing.
I know, right?
It's the blonde hair.
It
blonde
really
hairstyle,
is.
Yeah. Whatever.
But yeah, so she's has a solid movie career. Don't know what Gretchen's doing. Haven't really seen her in much. Amanda Seyfried, Lindsay Lohan, and Lizzie Kaplan, who plays Lindsay Lohan's best friend, Janice Ian. There we go.
Yeah.
So Lindsay Lohan, Lizzie Kaplan, and Amanda Seyfried have all done something interesting with their appearance since this movie came out. They've all lost a ton of weight. Like, you don't watch New Girl, so you won't understand. Like, Lizzie Kaplan has been in a couple episodes of New Girl, a couple episodes of True Blood. She's in this show right now on Showtime called, oh my god, I can't remember what it's called. It's something about like, Masters of Sex. It's about like these two doctors who in the 70s like revolutionized sex. I don't know. It was whatever. But like, I remember watching True Blood and I was like, is that Janice Ian? Like, she's so thin. Same thing with Amanda Seyfried, like super thin. Same thing with Lindsay Lohan. They were all like normal weights in this movie. And like, I guess some could like classify it as like chubby, but like they looked normal. They looked healthy.
Chubby my ass.
Exactly. Like they all looked.
This was probably Photoshop, but that's beside the point.
They all look like healthy and normal. And then after this movie, they all became twigs. And it's so frustrating to me because this movie is about empowerment. Like, it's a feminist movie about like, hey, you're.
It's a white feminist movie.
Okay. We'll get to that.
Only 2 black people in the whole movie.
We will get to that.
A lot of white people. Anyway, getting sidetracked.
Like, they all lost a bunch of weight, which makes me sad because, like, this movie is about how you should just be yourself and you should be comfortable in your own skin. And, like, it doesn't matter, like, if you're not in the popular group. It doesn't, like, it just, if you have a good group of friends who you enjoy, like, that's all that matters. And, like, if you're, like who you are, that's cool. But, like, they went and became twigs.
That's Hollywood, yo. That's a life, yo, actually.
That's what makes me upset. Like, you get upset about, like, and you every right to get upset about movies when they don't have, like, diversity. I get
upset about.
I get upset when, like, actresses are like, I'm happy with my weight and I'm comfortable with my weight, and then it's like 3 months later, so-and-so lost 50 pounds, and you're like, how comfortable with your weight were you?
Maybe they wanted to lose 50 pounds.
But they always have those interviews where I'm like, no, I'm fine with my weight, and I don't want to get pressured into losing weight, and, like, I know a bunch of...
Didn't Anne Hathaway have an interview like that?
But she lost weight because she was playing...
No, I know. That's why I brought it up.
Oh, okay.
Because somebody was like, how'd you lose weight for this, like, thing or whatever? Because, you know, media focuses on women losing weight because, you know, media's trash. And it's like, I had to depict a person who was dying and malnourished. Don't do that.
Like, Raven Simone was the only star that I know who, in an interview, they were like, why'd you lose weight? And she's like, because I felt pressured by Hollywood. She is the only star who has ever come out and been like, there was pressure. Every other star's like, well, I just wanted to be healthy, and it's like, no.
There's pressure. I mean, you look at like how many overweight characters gets center stage in this movie?
None.
Yeah. How many overweight characters get center stage in anything?
I know there's a movie.
Oh, I'm sure there's movies. I
Well,
mean,
no.
wasn't there in the singing movie that I
I was
didn't
gonna say
also
Pitch
watch?
Perfect.
Like,
But
there's a
she's
couple.
not a main character, but she does.
Yeah,
kill.
yeah. What I'm saying is like, not a lot of body diversity.
Yep.
A lot of white people in this movie. There's some problems in this movie. This movie was also from 10 years ago. I'm still critiquing it now because this movie it's a popular movie, but it'll get critiqued. Point is, it has problems. But anyway, yeah, that's a problem in media. There's not a lot of overweight people. I don't get represented. Actually, that's a lie. I'm male and white. I get represented a lot, but
Not even like overweight people, just like people who aren't twigs, just like
that too.
average. Well, I guess average is like overweight.
You ever seen Steven Universe?
No.
Okay, so basically, kind of like a chubby kid as
Mhm.
like the main character, and then his three like guardian people that he tries to save the world with.
Mhm.
They're all very diverse in body sizes. So like, there's like one woman who's like stick thin. There's one who's sort of like short and overweightish, and then there's like one that's like, I don't even know how to. Oh my god, like it's like a weird like an hourglass shape, but like an unnatural. They're metaphysical beings, so it
Yeah.
doesn't even matter. But the point is, that's a show that's doing well. Does Adventure Time do that too? Adventure Time also does that sort of.
Yeah.
It's more spread out across their episodes. The point is, kids' TV is doing better than movies are.
Yeah. Which is good, actually. You know,
Good,
because that's
but
where you
also
should, yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously have nothing against like thin people. Like I don't want to be like
I hate thin
we should
people.
not show thin
They
people because
should all
like
die. I'm kidding.
because obviously every body type is valid, but I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting thing that this whole movie is about empowering women, and then 3 of the main characters are now like,
Oh,
well, Lindsay Lohan was a kind of a different case because she did coke,
yes.
and that will definitely mess with your weight.
Oh, of course.
So, I think this is her best movie. It's her only movie. No, because like Freaky Friday's okay. Parent Trap is obviously
Never seen Parent Trap.
you can leave.
I mean, okay.
How have you never seen Parent Trap?
I've probably seen parts of it. That's a movie that I would have seen when I was younger, and I just never got around to it because, I was like 8. And like, why would I have seen that movie when I was 8? I'm sorry.
Parent Trap is a really good movie.
I'm not saying it's not.
But as an adult, this is her best movie.
Probably. She was in Machete.
Was she good in it?
I think her role in it was that she I think it was her and like her friend or her mom or something were like skinny dipping in a pool. Machete finds them. They make out for a couple seconds. Then they get like kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get sent to a nunnery
Mm-hmm.
by the end,
Mhm.
and they're like trapped there. So she doesn't have a role in Machete.
Yeah,
Is
okay.
basically what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say.
Okay. Well, that's depressing.
Yeah.
After the break, we're going to talk about the problems with this movie. But right now, we are going to switch to Notorious Netflix, which is our show, Ayo, best segment on this show. And we are going to be talking about Birdemic, but not just Birdemic with riff tracks. It's fantastic. Take a look.
Hello, and welcome to Notorious Netflix, a program dedicated to showcasing some of the worst movie masterpieces Netflix has to offer. I'm Matt.
And I'm Haley.
Have you ever watched The Birds and thought, hey, maybe there should be another movie like this?
No? That's because you have sense to preserve a classic.
This week, we're bringing you Birdemic, Riff Tracks Edition.
The last time we reviewed a Riff Tracks movie, it was Night of the Living Dead.
For those that don't remember, Riff Tracks is 3 dudes making jokes about a bad movie while you watch it.
It's pretty great, and Birdemic is one of the best riffs we've ever seen.
Basically, Rod, our protagonist, goes about his daily life as a computer software engineer or something, and meets up with a famous model. They go on 2 super awkward dates, and then birds attack.
So begins a beautiful adventure across country to try and survive. Along the way, they meet 2 children who they safeguard for most of the movie.
And we end up finding out why the birds attacked in the first place. Spoiler alert, It's because the environment is mad at us.
And that is all about this movie gives us. It's really bad. Shots are held too long.
The first 40 minutes are super long and unnecessary and don't even have bird attacks in them.
The dialogue is atrocious, and Rod's actor is just as bad. My favorite riff tracks moment is when they're like fishing or whatever, and she's like, I found some seaweed, and he's like, good. And then they're like, guess it took a while to get to his brain.
Yeah.
Like, it's atrocious.
Bad editing as well. The effects are horrible too. The birds look like they were poorly photoshopped in, and they also make airplane noises because birds are airplanes.
And the way they attack the birds is with wire hangers. Like, they fend off the birds with wire hangers.
Also, a random dude that they know has an M4, and it's like, why would you have like a military grade machine gun with you? But yeah.
In all seriousness, the enjoyment from this movie is actually, or exactly what NN is all about. It's so bad, it's hilarious. And riff tracks just adds to the ridiculousness.
Haley and I saw this movie years ago when it had like a theater release, and we still make the jokes and references to it to this day. So rewatching it was really a treat.
The riff tracks guys really hit it out of the park with this one. Everyone should go see it. I mean, I give riff tracks Birdemic, well, since it's good, you know what, no. I give riff tracks Birdemic 5 poorly shot birds out of 5.
And I give it 5 fishing rods out of 5.
That's all for this week's Notorious Netflix. Check us out next time for more horrible movie masterpieces. Welcome back to Appropriate Audiences. So, Matt, I know you have a bunch of issues with Mean Girls.
A couple.
So, let's hear them.
My arm fell asleep. That's why I'm lying like
Yeah,
this.
no, it's fine.
I'll fix myself in a second.
Mhm.
But yeah, a lot of white people in it.
Mhm.
A lot of thin white people in it.
Mhm.
That's basically the problem.
You were going on about diversity, like.
I mean, yeah, like it should probably be more diverse. I mean, okay, here we go. Matt's gonna sit up. Okay,
This is what I wanted.
so
Thank you.
people put it on a pedestal as like a feminist, like a super good feminist movie, and yeah, it's got feminist like ideas in there, but oh sorry, I messed up. A lot of straight white thin people, but the problem is that like. You're basically putting the movie on a pedestal and liking it and being like, this is like one of the best feminist movies I've seen. And it probably is, because there's not a whole lot of them. Like, the problem is that, like, it's cool if you're, like, white and female and straight, and that's it, basically. And thin, I guess, sort of, too. So it's basically like lacking in diversity, and like the problem with calling it like a really cool feminist movie is you're basically supporting really privileged white thin people. I mean, it's still good that it exists. It's just problematic. Tina Fey's problematic too. Though I know I haven't watched as much of her stuff as I probably should have. Like I haven't watched 30 Rock.
But why is she problematic?
Because from what I've heard. A bunch of pedophilia jokes, which I wasn't a fan of. But the other 50 minutes of it was really good, and none of it was like offensive or problematic or bad for the most part.
Because like he does talk about in Aziz Ansari's stand-up Buried Alive. It's really good. It's on Netflix. I would suggest watching it. He does make jokes about black stereotypes.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that either.
I thought it was funny.
It was funny, but it's still.
Like, I get what you're saying where it's problematic, but I think it depends. Like, yes, racist jokes and, homophobic jokes, like any, like, really, like, offensive, like, topic jokes can be tricky. I think it depends on how you present it.
Not really. Even positive stereotypes are still bad.
But, like, there's always stereotypes.
Yeah, I know. They're bad. I mean, like, I'm a white male who's straight, so I really shouldn't have much of a voice on the matter. Outside of that, things are bad and they shouldn't be bad.
Right.
Things are bad and they shouldn't be bad. And like stereotypes in general aren't good. Even if they're positive, because like they're still stereotypes and it's still bad, very bad. Don't do them. I'm looking at you guys that are watching. Don't stereotype. It's bad.
No, I get what you're saying. I do. I think I think that there's a trend in comedy where, like, and you see it in this movie too, that it's like just joke about people's habits because it's natural. You want to joke about like what people do because we all do stupid things, but it's like there is a line.
Oh yeah, of course.
Which I'm trying to think how well this movie balances that line. I think it's okay. I think there's really only like one kind of racist joke, but it's not really about race. It's more about like
People being dumb and thinking. It's basically the joke was about white people thinking that if you're not white, that you are from another country automatically, even if you're born.
and that was
in
more on the white people than
Yeah, that was more white people are dumb, which
Exactly.
is true. But
How did you feel though about the principal being portrayed by, I cannot remember his name, but by a black guy? So like that's usually
I
a
thought
role.
that was good. I
Because
mean,
that's usually a role that like would be like a white guy.
yeah, normally. I mean, he's a funny dude.
Mhm.
So I mean, it was a good choice. I dug it, but I mean, it's still 2 out of like a jillion rolls doesn't
Mhm.
make doesn't a good omelet make. That didn't even make sense.
No, it didn't. Okay. What were your thoughts overall?
I mean, I understand why people like it so much.
Mhm.
It's a funny movie, um, most of the time, and the message is generally empowering. The idea that like you should try and be yourself, especially in high school where people are so malleable,
Mhm.
and like so like giving into peer pressures most of the time. That finding who you are as a person and trying to stick with that is a really good message. Um, it has problems. A lot of
Mhm.
things have problems though, and as long as you can recognize the problems, then it's pretty okay to like it. And I don't think it's that bad of a movie. I understand why people like it, as long as people realize that it's not perfect, and it could be better, and that's really what counts.
It's fair enough. It's fair enough. That's all the time we have on this week's episode of Appropriate Audiences. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. See you next week. Okay, I'm done.
Lost control of my life.
Yeah. You know what else I've lost control of? My life. I feel bad for the people who watch this segment because, like, how do their faces not melt off with such?
I was actually just having a conversation with my friend, my friend Lauren, because she's taking me to her prom,
Mm-hmm.
and we were literally just like, cameras like melt because of us.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe the reason we don't have a lot of viewership is because people watch us.
You're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I like that.
we're just attractive people. Sorry, Stefan.